Hi everybody, I'm Dr. John Douillard, and today I want to talk about the dangers of sleeping in. And at this time of the year, it's getting easier and easier to wake up before the sun rises because, the sunrise is getting up, is starting a little earlier and earlier, so it's naturally waking us up. So it's sort of a good time for that to happen in the springtime. There are some risks involved in us sleeping in. Now, from the Ayurvedic perspective, the time of night between 2 o'clock and 6 is the Vata time of night. And during the Vata time of night, the nervous system becomes very self-aware. And during that time of night, the Vata time, the insulin levels are very effective in terms of driving sugar into your bloodstream. So insulin sensitivity is very high in the early part of the night, during the Vata time of the night, usually between right around 2, 3 o'clock in the evening. But then around 4 o'clock in the morning, this is the beginning of the sunrise, and insulin sensitivity actually starts to go down, and blood sugar levels start to accumulate in your blood. And that's to give you energy for the day. The liver actually is involved in this thing called the dawn phenomena, where in the morning hours, the body starts pumping a bunch of sugar into the blood to get you ready for the day. Sort of the idea, the theory is that when you sleep at night, the brain's thinking about what I got to do tomorrow, and then the body produces a certain amount of cortisol, a stress hormone, for those activities of the day, and then the liver dumps a certain amount of sugar into the blood to fuel those activities of the day. And for some reason, as we get older, definitely as we eat more sugar and stress the sugar delivery system, we end up overshooting the sugar runway. And we have an epidemic of type 2 diabetes in our country. We have, a third of the population are pre-diabetic, and 90% of those folks don't even know they have it. It's 100 million, more than 100 million people. So it's a real issue. And we know that when you can get ahead of the blood sugar curve, it's linked to a host of health preventative, healthy aging, results. We know that when you have a lot of sugar in your blood, the sugar clumps with the proteins, particularly collagen and elastin, which make your skin look pretty, but they clump and they glycate, they stick together. And they have been known as the smoking gun for all types of age-related degenerative concerns. Arthritis, brain fog, inflammation, issues of all kinds. So it is important to get ahead of that curve, right? So what you can do to get ahead of that curve is you can wake up early. This is a really cool test. If you get a little blood sugar monitor, you get them over the counter, they're really cheap, and then you check your blood sugar in the morning. Your morning numbers should be in the 80s. That's the goal. That's where you really want them to be. That's a youthful, healthy place for them to be. Anything over 95, and the high end of the normal range is 100, anything over 95 has been linked to accelerated age-related cognitive decline. So we don't want that. So you really want to keep those numbers in the 80s the best that you can. But after the sun rises, those numbers start to really surge. Well, in the morning at sunrise, the kapha time of day kicks in. The Vata time is between 2 o'clock and 6. And for a good part of the Vata time, the body's really good at dumping the sugar into the cells and feeding the cells. But as we start going more towards the sunrise, around 4 o'clock, and then big time at sunrise, the body starts to really push the blood sugar, the sugar into the blood. And insulin resistance at that point is low, or high rather, so it's harder to get that sugar out of your bloodstream into your cells. And if you're sleeping in during the kapha time of day, when we should be moving, then that blood sugar rise really begins to accelerate. And that becomes problematic, because any rise of blood sugar that's continued for a period of time can cause accelerated glycation, which we don't want to have. So kapha time of day is this muscular strength time. You get up in the morning with the sunrise, go plow fields, dig ditches, do all these kinds of things. And that's the body's ready for muscular activity. digging ditches, plowing fields, doing all that kind of stuff before it gets too hot in the middle of the day. So we're wired to be more physically active in the morning. Studies show when people exercise in the morning, I think one study showed that 75% of the people exercise on a regular basis do it in the morning time. There's all kinds of science showing that why we should exercise in the morning, because from the Ayurvedic perspective, the kapha time of day is when we should move the body. That's the clear thing. Now, if you're not moving your body when the body's saying I should move my body in a circadian biological kind of cell way, well, then we have issues, right? Now we have the body's blood sugar is up, ready to go, plow fields and dig ditches or exercise, and you're lying in bed. So that sugar just rises and rises and rises and glycates and creates real problems. So you can get underneath that by getting up early, right? Really simple. I mean, all you're doing is you're fixing your blood sugar by living in sync with your circadian rhythms, helping to do what your biological clocks are telling you to do at the right time. Super simple, incredibly effective according to the science. I've got an article at LifeSpa.com about the science. It's called The Dangers of Sleeping In, and those dangers are for sure, the not naturally mitigating the natural rise in blood sugar. I discovered this years ago when I was living in India. I had learned how to play polo on horses years ago when I was in Iowa, just playing around in the cornfields, nothing fancy by any means. We called it beer polo versus Rolex polo. It was just, anyway, when I went to India, I joined the President's State Polo Club in New Delhi for $80 for 6 months. It was incredible. But I had to get there by 5:30 in the morning because they exercise the horses really early before it got too hot. So I had to drive from where I was about an hour or so outside of New Delhi into Delhi to get there at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was pitch black. And I was just blown away because I was driving through the farm fields and areas and things. And everybody was up. I mean, it was like hustling and bustle. People are getting up and going. And it was pitch black. I just couldn't believe my eyes. Like, what are these people doing in the middle of the night? Do they ever go to sleep? Traditional cultures get up, particularly at a time called Navaswan. In Ayurveda, it's called Navaswan. That's when the sky goes from pitch black to just a little bit of gray. And they're up at that time. And that's the time that they would do their meditation, is in the Navaswan period of time. And then by the time the sunrise, they're up, ready to go, boom, boom, ready to start their day in activity. So it's something that we completely, in our culture, don't recognize the power of the circadian rhythms of getting up with the sun, in particular, even before the sun. So here's my challenge, to you guys, is to get a blood sugar monitor and wake up at, if you could, set your alarm for 4:30 or 5. Check your blood sugar. I mean, just remember what it was, and you can go back to sleep if you want. And then wake up at your normal time, maybe at 7:30 when the sun's already been up or whatever. Check your blood sugar again and see the difference. What you'll probably see is a big surge from 4:30 to 7:30 when you've been lying in bed. Now, you can play with that and see. You can also experiment by saying, okay, let me wake up, maybe at 6 o'clock, right before the sun rises. Be there for the sunrise. Then go for a walk your dog, or just go for a walk somewhere and do some gentle exercise or some sun salutations, which are gentle, long, slow, and deep. Not vigorous exercise, because at that time, vigorous exercise will demand more sugar and you'll have a little bit of a rise from the exercise, which is okay to do because that increases the utilization and decreases insulin resistance. So it's when you're exercising, you get all this sugar in your blood, but it's delivered to the cells because the cells are demanding it for energy, which is fine. But so here's your program. And if you have any blood sugar related issues, these are really great, well scientifically documented circadian rhythm tips. 1, get up before the sunrise. Number 2, move your body. Go for a walk or do some gentle yoga or Surya Namaskar. Shortly thereafter, eat. Eating breakfast, which is like the big thing to skip these days in America, is so important, because when you eat that food, that triggers all the cells to say, okay, somebody just filled the tank with gas, now we got to deliver that gas and drive some energy into the cells. So one of the best ways to lower your blood sugar in the morning is to have breakfast. I wrote a couple of articles on why you should exercise in the morning and the reasons why you should have breakfast. And the science behind it is really compelling. And I know everybody in America is intermittent fasting. We're moving into the spring, perfect time to do that. But everybody will skip breakfast, have a lunch and a supper, and then won't eat again until, say, 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, and you have that really small eating window. And there's no doubt that there's benefits and value with that. And I'm going to be asking you if you really want to do it the biological clock circadian rhythm way. The science is in. Have a breakfast, starts your metabolism, gets your blood sugar low from the natural dawn phenomena that takes place in the morning. So you get that blood sugar down low by having breakfast right away, or a walk, or both, which is even better. Or just have breakfast and then go for a walk, which is even better because studies show that after you eat and you go for a walk, that has such a powerful effect on the health and integrity of your endothelium, your arterial lining, which is what causes heart disease when it goes bad. And that is really cool. So you could wake up really early. You could, go for a short walk your dog, but come back, have breakfast, and then go for another walk. Or that would be a great time to actually do your workout. Start your exercise program. And that will give you all types of benefits for your endothelium, which is really cool, right? So those are the rules. But play with that. Wake up really early and take your blood sugar. And then wake up, then take it again at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're going to see a crazy difference. And that is mitigated by you living in sync with the natural rhythms. Now, one of the ways that you can also reset your circadian clock, a study done here at UC Boulder did a study when they took a bunch of healthy type Boulder people, and they measured their circadian clock, and they were completely all out of whack. They were pumping out melatonin in the middle of the day, and you're only supposed to produce melatonin at night while you sleep. So they took them to the mountains for a week, no clocks, no radios, no cell phones, completely off the grid, up with the sun, sleep with the sun every day for a week, and they had a 100% reset of their circadian clock. They took another group up for just a weekend. It was a 67% or 68%, I think it was, reset of their circadian clock just in a weekend. So another way to reset your circadian clock is just to sort of do a no artificial light weekend. I wrote an article called, I think, No Artificial Light Weekend, where you just turn off all your cell phones for a weekend, turn off the electricity and lights in your house, no computers, no phones, no TV, no nothing. Just turn it all off, turn the Wi-Fi off, and use candles, read books, play games, go to bed early. Like, how hard is that? I mean, people are, oh my God, how could I live without my TV? You can. And it's a powerful way to reset your biological clocks. And then that will get you sort of back into the rhythm of wanting to get up a little bit earlier, right? And wanting to, to exercise and feel more motivated to do activity in the morning during the kapha time of day, when the science shows that's what we should, in fact, be doing, which is really cool. And another way to reset your circadian clock is something I call low-dose melatonin. Melatonin is a circadian medicine reset, or a circadian rhythm reset. It's not a hormone, it's not a sleep drug, as everybody thinks it is. Melatonin helps get you to sleep so it can then do its actual job, which is to detox, rebuild, and repair you. It's the night watchman janitor that comes and cleans windows and washes floors while you're sleeping. Everybody thinks it's just for sleep. It's not. It's actually for doing this really deep repair of your microbiome, your liver function, your hormones, your detoxification and repair, which is really, really cool. But low dose melatonin is really low dose. We're talking, one we use is called low dose melatonin, where one drop of this stuff is just 0.1 milligram. You can't buy 0.1 milligrams of melatonin in the grocery store. So it's super low, and the studies show that low dose of Fez is just as effective as high dose. So taking just 1 or 2 drops of that before you go to bed at night can be a powerful reset to encourage the natural production of your own, and that's what the new science shows. I did a podcast with a melatonin researcher, Paula Witt-Enterby, and she talked about all of her amazing research on melatonin. You gotta watch that, from osteoporosis to breast cancer. You gotta watch some of the research that's been done on this, but also the research on low dose melatonin has been shown to be just as effective, and melatonin Just opposite what we all think is melatonin will stop me from producing my own. The studies show it actually encourages the natural production of your own. So once you get on a dose that works, then it starts to not work. You don't take more like the American way. You take less because you're getting what you're making and what you're taking, and now you can start to take less and less and less. And if you're just using it to hack the aging process and reset your circadian clock, you can get down to, not even needing any. But if you're older, over 50, then you do make less melatonin as you age, and that would be a time to take, you get down to just 1 or 2 drops before you go to bed, and that's been shown to be as effective as a higher dose to hack the aging process and get you all the benefits that melatonin provides. Way above and beyond sleep. I rarely use melatonin for sleep. It's not what I use it for. I use it to reset the circadian clock, and circadian medicine now won the Nobel Prize. It's a really big deal, and we need to get these biologic clocks in rhythm, and getting up early, going to bed early, those are the key, right? So go to bed early, have your supper around 6 o'clock at night, go to bed early, wake up before the sun rises. At that point, move your body. Good time to do some of your breathing exercises. If you want to do that, would be a really good time to do that. Move your body, have breakfast, and then go for a walk after breakfast, and then you're set for the day. Your blood sugar, your metabolism is on track. But sleeping in, that blood sugar just rises and rises while you're sleeping in after the sun rises, and that's dangerous for your blood sugar, your metabolism, linked to obesity, heart disease, a host of problems that are not good, particularly if you're in the second half over 50. All right, that's a lot. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. I'm Dr. John Douillard.